Today's guest has a story that I think will resonate with a lot of listeners. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's real. 5 years ago, Dallas started as a cleaner. Today she's a facilities coordinator, supervising 3 people, including cleaners doing the job she once did. Now, that progression didn't happen through one big break. It happened through consistently showing up, proving herself, and building confidence one step at a time. All while managing type 1 diabetes and other health conditions that made some days much harder than others. This is what confidence actually looks like when your life doesn't give you ideal conditions. Welcome, Dallas. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Dallas, would you mind taking me back 5 years ago when you started working as a cleaner here? And what was that like, and were you thinking about where you might go from there?
So when I first started here, it was really daunting. I'd moved away for this specific job, and when I came here, the place was pretty empty. You know, it was COVID times, people were still working from home, so it was a little bit strange actually from where the sort of environment I'd come from before, where it was always busy. So I was struggling a little bit, thinking, oh my God, is this it? But I think eventually, once things started sort of getting back to normal, was getting more and more people in the office and things, it became a lot easier to do. And I think at the time as well, you know, I was just so focused on coming here, being a cleaner, getting the job done. Honestly, I didn't have a thought process of where I want to be in a few years. You know, it was just sort of the here and now. I've got this job. I really need to prove myself in this role, you know. But I'd sort of known in the back of my mind that I would eventually want a small team. I wasn't sure how I'd make that happen, to be honest. And I wasn't sure if it would ever happen, being in that position. So yeah, it was a strange start to working here actually, but here we are. Here we are.
And when you looked at people that were, say, coordinator roles back then, did you think, oh, that could be me, or did it feel at a reach? Or
personally, in a coordinator's position, no, I didn't think I'd ever have this sort of job. To be honest, I thought it's just going to be little old me pottering around by myself. You know, the cleaning team of one, and eventually I'd hope, like I said, I'd like to have a couple of people that I could maybe supervise, but my job role sort of turned on its head, you know, so going from the cleaning side to then working up to facilities, even though it's involved with each other, it was quite different. But no, coordinator position was not in the picture for me at all. Yeah, so it's definitely a big jump.
Yeah. But there was that little thought in there of you would like to manage a team of people.
Yeah, that's it.
What about, so you mentioned that the facility side of it. How did you go about moving from, you know, the cleaning role to the facilities to the coordinator? How did you progress?
I think with that, obviously I'd been doing the cleaning for about 6 months or so, and I was getting really on top of it, you know. I had my routine in place. I was doing what I needed to do.
Yep.
And there was some times, you know, where I'd go up to the HR and facilities team at the time going, is there anything extra, you know, you need me to do? I can pick up anything. Wow. Yeah. The facilities manager at the time was saying, oh, you know, just little bits, little things like, can you take the recycling truck out, you know, that was a sort of a facilities job, and little things like that started to pick up into a few more bigger things, you know, and just going, oh, you know, Dallas, could you do this? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, you know, I've got time, let me do it. And then it sort of went from that to one of the HR managers actually pulling me to the side. And funnily enough, at the time, I thought, oh no, what have I done? You know, I was panicking. And she said, no, Dallas, you know, you've really been showing some willingness. Yeah. We love your work ethic. How would you feel about sort of joining us on the facilities side of things and just sort of helping a little bit with HR? And I was a bit like, you know, I've never done this sort of job before. I've always been in sort of cleaning or retail. And I said, can I have some time? I don't need to decide now. No. So I went home and I had about a week where I was a bit like, oh God, am I really ready for this? Am I just comfortable in what I'm doing? Do I need to make that push? Which I did. I needed to get myself out of that comfort zone. So I just went for it, Just went for it. And that's sort of how it started,
What do you think it was about the comfort zone that made you go, I want to push myself out of it? 'Cause some people stay their whole life in the comfort zone, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. And I think I had done for a long time, but I think I'd realised being here, what an amazing opportunity it was. The company that we were subcontracted to is an amazing company. And I thought, wow, I've been asked by one of the higher up people in that company to do this. And I thought, I'm not going to get this opportunity again. If I turn this down, they're not going to ask me anymore. So I thought, I've just got to go for it. And give it a try. And I remember saying, like, can I just test it for 6 months?
Wow, yeah.
See how I get on. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. See how you settle in. See what skills you can develop and all that sort of stuff. But I'm really glad I done it. I'm really glad I did, because I have sort of been quite a comfort level type of person, stick at the same thing, what you know. Yeah. And this time something must have just switched in my head and I just went straight for it. Yeah.
She's brilliant. It's great that you saw the opportunity and you took it, which I think is amazing. So again, I think what helps people is that sometimes it's nice to stay in your comfort zone, because you're not challenged, you're not as comfortable in it. The whole point of it. Whereas you felt you needed to push yourself beyond it, which I think is fantastic. And you mentioned that you live with type 1 diabetes and some additional conditions. I'd love to talk about how that's affected the career journey, because I think a lot of listeners will be managing their own health challenges while trying to progress. Yeah.
As you can imagine, it's a difficult condition to deal with anyway. To be fair, I think it's definitely something that a lot of people live with. But again, because you can't see it, it's easy to forget that person is maybe struggling. So I had a lot of struggles actually in the last 5 years of being here, and I've had some really tough times, and it impacted my work life quite a lot in the early stages. So obviously you've got the pressure of, I need to be here, I need to show up, I need to give it my all because I've been given this opportunity. But you're also fighting to make sure health is the top of your list as well. And I think getting them two hand in hand was very difficult. Luckily now I'm managing everything okay, I think. But it's taken a long time, and it's been a stressful journey actually to try and to balance both of them things out, actually. So
how did you balance it? What do you do? Have you got routines or things you do to help you manage that?
I think for me, to start with, like I say, I couldn't balance anything. The trouble is, I think what people forget a lot of the time is your health is so important. But on the other hand, people are also worried that work is so important. It's our life, it's what gets us by, So it tends to be, and for me anyway, health falls back of the list of priorities, when actually it needs to be front of your mind. Your health needs to be 100% before you can give 100% at work. So I think a lot of things that I actually had to do was take a step back, try and stop the stress, stop internally telling myself, they're all thinking really bad of you. That's what I'd have all the time of, they're thinking how much time you're having off and how many appointments you're having at the doctors and hospitals and things like that. When actually they weren't. They're very supportive, the guys here. But in your own head, that's what you think. And I think you have to try and somehow squash that and get rid of that so you can move on and do what you need to do. But I do think it's important for people to take the time that they need, and realise how important looking after themselves is. And like I say, you can't come into work and want or try and give your all if your mind and your body isn't at that same level. So I think, for me it was just sort of, I guess it's looking as an outsider, actually. You have to have sort of like this out of body experience of and as well, a lot of it was, and I'd learnt a lot through my diabetic teams and things, where how would you talk to somebody else in this position? And I'm a really compassionate person, and I was saying to them, I'd say this and I'd say that. So why can't you say it to yourself? And I did. I started doing that, and that's what I had to do. To get where I needed to be, I guess.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. If there was anything you wish employers or colleagues understood better about working with an invisible health condition, is there anything you would sort of recommend? Or?
I definitely think, it's one of them. When you say invisible, it is what it says on the tin. You can't see the struggles that somebody's having. And like for me, I'm always like this happy, cheerful person. And when you come into work and you're not feeling 100%, people are always, oh God, what's wrong with you now? And because you look semi-normal from the outside, inside you're struggling so much. And I think sometimes the trouble is not everybody's educated. And that is the thing. Not everyone's educated on a certain thing. And I've found working here that when you start talking to people and you're very open, they start to learn a little bit more about you and what's happening, not just, oh, she's ill again. If you're open with people, not too much, sort of detail and things like that, but just go, this is what it's about. For me, I've got insulin pumps and sensors that I wear, and people are curious. And I love the fact that they are. And I like that they ask questions and things, and I can answer them and tell them, because they get a better understanding. And I think I've had to do that with a lot of my colleagues actually here, because there's sometimes they must look at me and think, oh God, she's just being lazy. It's not being lazy, we're exhausted. We're fighting mentally, physically, and for conditions like type 1, it's staying alive. It's not just, I've got a headache or I'm feeling a bit sick. Our life is making sure we're doing what we can to keep ourselves going. So you're mentally battling with that all the time, and physically, because there's a lot of implications that come along with it. And again, people just sort of have that, I guess, stereotype of, oh, she's just sitting there lazy again. Or it might be things like, I get it all the time, it's quite funny actually, somebody's birthday in the office, there's cake in the kitchen, are you sure you can have that? It's quite funny, I get it a lot. And it doesn't offend me, it's because people don't know. But I think teaching people and giving knowledge to managers and team members is key, to be honest, to getting through to them a little bit. And getting them to understand, that we're as capable as everybody else. But there are times where it's a little bit tougher. But we get there. We do what we need to do, and we pull ourselves together, and we do it. It just takes a bit more time. That's all. So,
And have you ever felt, sort of building on that you've had to work harder than others just to be seen as equal because of the time or maybe the energy that managing your health takes?
Yes, absolutely. I'm a big worrier anyway, and I used to worry all the time and think, oh God, what does people think of me? The stress then caused of the overthinking, of all of this stuff, then takes a massive toll. But you do sometimes have that internal voice of going, you're not cut out for this. This is way too much for you to manage with everything else. Quit. But then you think of the reasons why you're doing it. And for me, a lot of the time, it is to prove to myself, and not necessarily to anybody else, but I want to be the front of my sort of story, and I want to know that I've done it for me. And I've proved to myself that actually, with all this other rubbish that's happening, I can still be good at my job. I can manage people, and I've got great skills with people. And I don't think that the illnesses and things that people have should define anything like that. You know, we've all got something good that we're good at, and we can do it, you know. But it's definitely been tough. Like I say, just trying to, I guess, get it in your own head as well, that you're good enough, as well as trying to prove to everybody else, I've got this. You know, so again, I guess everybody has it to a certain degree. We all sort of battle with ourselves. And that thought process doesn't just change overnight. It does take a little bit of time, but, you know, we'll get there.
I think your example from earlier of looking at it from a third party, you know, when if you were looking at someone in the same position you are, what would you say to them? That really struck a chord with me, because I thought, absolutely. We're probably kinder to other people than we are to ourselves.
100%.
Sometimes.
I think our empathy towards other people is always very, very strong, and we can be the nicest person to other people, but to ourselves, we really do criticise and drag ourselves down, don't we? And we can never see the good in what we're doing. But the nice thing and the things that I've learned along the way with the people that I work with, and also, like I say, the help of my team, my type 1 team, is people do actually see it, and they do recognise it. And the nice thing is I'm not one to want thanks and praise. That's not what I do. But there are people out there that will give you that little bit of a confidence boost of going, actually, you're doing a really good job, you know, and you don't need to stress. You're juggling a lot within life. So keep doing what you're doing, you know, which is lovely. I think sometimes we all need to hear that a little bit,
definitely.
Because we do doubt ourselves quite a lot, don't we, as humans? So
everybody does. You mentioned there managing, you know, your team, etc. So the big thing for me is, you know, supervise the cleaners, the people that are doing the job you started in. What's that like?
It's amazing. I'm really proud. I feel really proud that I've got a great team of ladies that I get to work with every day. But also, it's sort of a bit surreal, because I always think I would never be in that position. I didn't know when that was going to happen. So when it finally did, it was like, I've got there, you know, I've done what I've been wanting to do, and it's crazy. We chat, and obviously they know that I was in the position that they're doing now before them. But I think it helps us have a mutual understanding of each other. I know their roles, and I know, unfortunately, the thought process of a lot of people is they're just cleaners. And it really annoys me when people say that, because they're a big cog in the works that keep the team going. And it's quite sad to see a lot of the times that cleaners are just sort of brushed aside as that's all they do. But I'm quite grateful here, because a lot of the team for the company that we work for are amazing, and they don't see it like that. We're all one team. And especially for us, because we're based on this site 5 days of the week. So we've sort of become part of the furniture now. I know I have anyway, after 5 years. But yeah, it's a crazy thing to manage people like that. But I absolutely love it. I love what I do. And like I say, I love my team. And I think it does, like I say, help me understand when they're coming to me, oh, you know, this is what's happening. I've got this problem. I can deal with it. And I know what it's like, because I've been in that situation many times before. So yeah, I think that makes our team bond a lot stronger, yeah. And I'd hope that they feel like they could come to me for anything, because unfortunately with previous companies that I've worked with, I haven't always had that, and I always wanted to be in the position to go, I'm that manager or that supervisor, and I want people to warm to me and come to me.
Yeah.
I'd never want them to think, oh God, I'm dreading having to go and ask a question. I want to be open and I want to be honest. And I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, for that question, I'm just super pleased and I'm super proud that I've got where I need to get, and I'm proud of my team. So
It's brilliant.
yeah.
So if one of them came to you and said they wanted to progress like you, what would you tell them?
Absolutely go for it.
Wow.
I think it's the old saying, I guess, life's too short. And it really is, you know, to be worrying about, well, what if I don't get it? What if I'm not good at it? How are you ever going to know until you make that jump? I was in the same position of going, oh my God, can I actually do this? I've been a cleaner for so many years. I don't know any IT skills. I don't know this. I don't know that. Wow. But you learn, and it's all part of it. And I think if you're a person that's willing, and you've got just a bit of fire in you somewhere, you can do it. And I would support them all the way. And honestly, if it came to it, I'd be super pleased with them working on the team with me. You know, it's just a great thing. It really is.
With that fire, it's fascinating. So you mentioned, you know, if you've got the fire within you, would you think, what created that fire for you? What was the spark, the ignition spark, when you think back?
When I think back, I think it was sort of going back to some of our first questions, was the whole comfort zone. I think I just kept thinking about how long I've been in my comfort zone. And, you know, a big thing for me is time. And I know a lot of people think that's crazy, but I think it is just because of the diabetes side of things, just life in general. I just kept thinking, even though I'm classed as young to a lot of people, I was thinking, is this something I want to be doing till I die? Or do I want to make the jump while I can, and I can still learn, and I can still do these things? You know, time is actually on my side instead of against me. So I think for me, that was the thing that was like, Dallas, just do it. You know, like I said earlier, who knows if I'd have got that chance again. And I don't feel like if I was in another company that I would have been offered that, actually. It's just because these guys here are really good. So yeah, I think that fire just came from feeling like I needed to do it. I needed to progress. I needed to stop the fear that I had as well behind, but all behind that sort of comfort zone sort of stuff. So yeah, made the jump, and the best thing that I did, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you compare your confidence now, say, to 5 years ago, not just in the job, but to yourself, to everything, what's different?
Oh my God, it's worlds apart, actually, yeah. Right. I've still always been a very sort of bubbly person, can chat to a door, honestly. That's just my nature, but I think back then I had a lot of self-doubt around probably more like jobs and pushing that. I think a lot of people have a fear behind, you know, starting a new job or interviews in particular, things like that, which I think had always been a massive fear for me, of going, I'm so anxious about doing that stuff that I'm just in this shell and sticking at what I know. So back then, I was such a nervous person to just push and go for the goals that I wanted to get. Once I think you're over that mark, I think once I took that first step of actually accepting the job, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, because there were things that I didn't know, and there were things that I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to start again. But it was amazing. It was a great learning experience. It's extra feathers in my cap, you know, you just keep learning. But yeah, I think the main thing as well is are the skills that I've actually learned doing this role. My biggest thing, and I always laugh, is learning to say no.
Wow.
A lot, which weirdly makes your confidence go through the roof, because I've always been a very soft person. Yes, I'll do this, I'll help you out with that, and I still am. But being in facilities and sort of health and safety, there's got to be a point now where you say no to people.
Yeah.
You know, Dallas, can you do this? I haven't got time. No, that's going to be something you need to find with another team or do yourself. And I really struggled with that to start with. But once I'd sort of done that first little step, you know, of actually, no, I've got a job now and I want to do my best at it. And the only way I'm going to do it is if, you know, I am doing these and putting these things in place. So the confidence around people and communication now has improved massively. So it's all
really good insight, that. Really good insight. Because I think a lot of people think, maybe I just find it hard to say no, think it will work the opposite effect.
Yeah.
But for you, it was building confidence. And I think you're absolutely spot on. It helps people build confidence because it's part of setting a boundary, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think when you work in a place like here, you know, we've got up to 200 staff. And you'll get all sorts of people try all sorts of different things to get what they want or get where they need to be. And it is difficult sometimes, you know, especially with people in work, because you build bonds with these people. You don't want to upset people. You don't want to step on anybody's toes. But unfortunately, like I say to a lot of people now, if they say to me, oh, Dallas, you've changed. But my role has changed with that as well. I'm not just the sort of happy, smiley, chatty cleaner that I was. I still am that Dallas. Yeah. But I've also got a duty of looking after people and making sure things in the workplace are safe and are working as they need to. Yeah. Yeah. With that, you have to become a little bit stronger in yourself, which I think has helped me discipline myself in life as well. Yeah. You know, massive example of that was with my diabetic team, and they sort of said, you know, are you doing the right things at the right time, taking your insulin? And I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that because I'm so worried about looking after these people. I'm not looking after myself. Yeah. And that was one big step for me, was if somebody came up to me and oh, Dallas, I need this right now. Yeah. I'd say, no, I can't do it right now. I'm looking after myself first, take my insulin, then I will go and do it. Oh, yeah. And that's when I thought, actually, you know, I can do this. Yeah. I can say no. So, you know, after that was a bit of a turning point for me, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a great example of this. If there was, say you were someone was listening that was in an entry-level role, maybe dealing with their own health challenges and wondering if progression's realistic for them, what would you say to them?
I would say, if you want to do it, it's 100% a goal that you can reach. The trouble is, like I said before, we have so much self-doubt. And it's natural to have that. We all sort of question if we can do things and whatnot. But I do find with people that are maybe in what society sees as lower jobs, or in a position where our health isn't great, that doubt creeps in a little bit more than somebody else's would. Right. But I think I think anybody can do what they want to do. And again, it goes back to having that bit of fire in your belly. I didn't feel like I had that fire to start with, and you really do have to dig deep to try and find it. But I think if you've got an inkling of desire to do something there, you can do it. And like I said before, it just sometimes takes a little bit longer, because you have to work hard, you do, and it's not easy. Even just things like I say, for me, going from a cleaner, and I've not used any IT since I was in school, so, you know, coming into this job, having to use a laptop and all these different things, I felt useless to start with, I really did. But it comes with time, and that's what you've got to remind yourself, you know, you've got to give yourself time to learn these things and to do these things. It doesn't happen overnight, and you've got to set yourself realistic goals. Yeah. You can't do something that's too far out of reach, because you'll never get there then. Me and one of my doctors at my clinic always laugh and we say, Barbie steps. Take Barbie steps and you'll get there. And it is right, you know, them little Barbie steps.
Barbie steps, that's
they
brilliant.
will get you there.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so just keep pushing at it.
If there was one thing you'd encourage others to try, out of all the things you've spoken of, what's I know it's hard maybe to choose one, but what's one of the things you would say, try this and see what happens?
If it's around sort of the anxiety and the stress of work and health, one main thing, and I know some people will be like, oh, that's crazy, but grounding. And when some people think of grounding, they think standing in mud and it's a little bit strange. It's not that at all. What I've learned the last few years, especially trying to handle stress and health and work, are the 5 tips of grounding, which is your sight, what you can smell, what you can taste, gone out my head, what you can feel, yeah, all of that sort of stuff, and what you can hear. And when you're getting into stress mode, remembering all of them, take yourself off to a quiet place, focus on what you can hear, if you can hear anything, what you can taste, you know, what you can see around you, and bring yourself back down before you start getting too stressed.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think the main thing is about learning to cope before you get into that sort of stress level. And for me, it doesn't work for everybody, but for me, that has been a massive help. And trying to do that, and I remember my team. I know I keep mentioning them, but my team kept saying, "Dallas, you know, just try this." And I had a little poster printed out near my desk that had them 5 senses on, and I would do it. You know, if I felt, you know, this anxiety is coming on, or this email stressed me out, I'd take myself and I'd think, right, you know. And like I say, a lot of people think, "Oh God, that's a load of rubbish." But I think it's definitely something people should try and do. And it's hard to do it in the moment. So I think taking yourself, you know, even outside of work, practising them skills and really bringing yourself back down before you get into that mode is really important. And I've learnt that a lot the last couple of years, you know. So I'd say to anybody, try that out. Ground yourself.
Sounds a useful, really super useful tip, I think. Jake, is there a misconception about career progression or about working with health conditions that you'd want to challenge?
I think so. I think, and not even necessarily disabilities that you can't see, disabilities that you can see. I think people see it as a reason that they can't do something, and I don't think that's true at all. You know, we've all got different strengths and capabilities. And just because somebody's struggling doesn't mean they can't do the job as well as their peers. And I think that is quite a blurred line, if you say, you know, where people are a bit like, oh, they probably shouldn't be working with us, or is there something else we can get them to do because of this? Well, no, you know, if they want to do that, they can. Yeah. And again, it's that whole sort of going back to, if you're really willing and you really want to do something, you will do it, whether you've got different, you know, things going on or impairments that get in the way. You can still do what you want to do, I believe anyway. You know, it shouldn't be that you're not allowed to do anything or live your life or do a job that you love doing because of something that's wrong with you. So, yeah.
So true. So what's next for you, Dallas? Where do you see yourself going from here? What's the next challenge?
Oh, God.
What gets you out your comfort zone next?
My plan is, I guess, still stick to the coordination side. You know, I'm currently doing some courses, so I'm trying to work hard on my progression. I think now that I'm ready physically, mentally, you know, to take a jump, I will do that. I'm not quite 100% sure in what direction yet. I know I still love the facilities side of things, which I never thought, you know, I was always a person that never knew what they wanted to do in their life. Even when I started here and I was doing the cleaning, I thought, God, is this really what I want? Do I want to progress? And I've noticed now that facilities is probably a bit more of my calling than any other job that I've had. Wow. So I definitely want to stick in this sort of area. But doing what, who knows, you know, and I'd love to stay with this company, well, my company and the company that we work for, as long as I can, actually. So yeah, I think we'll just see, but I'm still always working towards trying to better myself as much as I can. So I think if that ever starts dying down, that's when I take the next jump and go for something different. So we'll see.
Thank you so much, Dallas. I think it's, you know, amazing the story that the journey, I guess, this confidence journey you've done in the last 5 years of coming into a job when COVID's rife and there's not many people about, and, you know, and to be fair, it was a fairly newish setup as well in this building. Yeah. And, you know, you then progress through it and to the stage where you're challenging yourself, you're grounding, which I thought was great, you're saying no.
Yes.
You know, all these things, you know, even the things that you're saying, the last time you touched IT was at school. Yeah. And all of a sudden in facilities, you're having to do that. And that, all of this learning, all this, every one of them's like it's almost like a micro challenge, isn't it?
Yes, it definitely was.
And each one you take, just, I guess it makes you realise you can take the next one, which is important. I guess what I take from the conversation is this idea that you decided to challenge yourself. You wanted to get out of that comfort zone. You behaved consistently when asked to do more. In fact, you volunteered to do more things. You put yourself out there saying, I'm going to do this. And the fact you're working with your health team, listening to their advice. A lot of people won't listen, will they?
Believe me, it's taken me a long time to listen to them. I'm sure they're pulling their hair out,
And I like that. There's two flips that really stood out to me. One flip was the one where you go, no, I'm not going to do it right now. I'll be with you in 5 minutes. I'll take my insulin first. Whereas previous to that, you would have gone and done the job first and known that your health would deteriorate a bit because you hadn't taken it on the right time. So that felt really quite inspiring, if I'm honest, that, you know, because a lot of people, they do put the job, the family, the whatever first. Whereas without the health, nothing's possible. No. But I think what you've done is brought that's really, really real. I think for anybody listening who's in a similar position, maybe a role that feels invisible, maybe managing health challenges that take that extra energy, this is proof that progression's possible. It's not easy. It's definitely not guaranteed, but it's possible. And thank you so much for sharing so openly.
No, thank you.
And telling your story to folks. I really appreciate it.
No, great stuff.